Hey, it's Logan, and I wanted to show you a few tips and tricks that I've been learning after using this Cerberus backpack as my travel bag, my everyday carry bag for over a month now. The first thing I did is add a little stow for the sternum strap, which is super nice because it's just a bit of a heavy buckle, and so having it tucked away and just have a nice place to hang when you're not using it is great. Keeps it out of the way. Really like that. One of the other things that a lot of people have commented on and probably run into is that this bag is fairly small, and even though it says 16 expandable to 20 liters or so, the actual design of it isn't quite like the build out of a Bullet or something like that in terms of how you can dump things into it and use the whole space. So as I was looking at it, I kind of realized that the back of the backpack here is kind of concave, and at the bottom it also kind of tilts back towards your back a bit, and this is all pulling away from the depth of the bag. So if you look here on the side, you can see if you start pulling, there's actually like quite a bit of space, but it doesn't sort of naturally have that because it's pulling this way. And so I was like, well, if you could sort of almost push it over, maybe you would be able to get more space and utilize the interior of the bag better. So what I actually figured out is that there's this extra piece of foam sitting in the bag that you can take out. And if you look at you've got this guy in there that adds structure. You've got foam in the harness itself. And then if you don't need to take apart your bag to take this out. This is easier to demonstrate. So if you flip your bag inside out like this without taking the front off, there's actually a piece of foam still in the back panel here. That's the spacer mesh. You've got a piece of foam here, and then you've got one on the front of the laptop pocket where the iPad sleeve is. And what I realized is there's actually this extra one that fits up in here, and that's what this is. And it wasn't actually sort of fitting in there just right, so it's kind of pushing on the sides, things like that. So I flipped the bag inside out, and you can pull the sleeve back and remove this whole piece of foam. And the nice thing is, once you do that, let me demonstrate, you actually get the back panel, especially on the sides here, to sort of push forward a bit. And the nice thing about that is it kind of opens up the space, especially at the bottom of the bag, and just makes it a lot more usable. And I think it just makes the bag feel bigger, and you get the space inside that you've been wanting to use. So recommend, if you're running into that, take this out. It doesn't seem to affect the comfort or anything of the bag. There's still plenty of padding, everything else, but it just seems to help the shape a bit by not having that in there. The other thing that I've been doing is I never really planned on using the tail on this bag at all when I first got it. I was actually planning on just keeping it tucked away, and then talking to people and working on some mods and things, I've been using it more and more to test things out. And what I've actually come to realize is that you can almost double the capacity of your bag by utilizing the tail really well. And if you see here, I have, yes, this is my product, but I built it for a reason. So you've got these wings on the side, so it kind of becomes like a front pocket. And you can see when you don't have them, everything kind of puffs out, but it works fine. And so by putting the fidlock up here, you kind of have this whole space underneath to compress a bag. And so I now always carry a packable tote bag. And you can see this is 27 liters. It's not completely full, but there's a decent amount of stuff in there. And even so, when I do that and then cinch it down on both sides, it really looked pretty slim throughout this whole video. And so that's what I've been doing, is just carrying a packable tote bag with extra items. Like I went to the beach and I could throw all my beach stuff in here and keep it outside of my bag, but still carry it with me and have a second bag. I carried it like that through the airport as my carry-on, and I didn't have any issues. And it's really made the capacity of this bag large enough that it can be a travel bag for me. And I've been loving doing that. So really putting the fidlock up here on the top of the tail and letting you sort of cinch it down and really compress this whole space is a total game changer for being able to utilize this and bring extra items with you that you may not be able to fit in the bag otherwise. And I've been loving it. So, all right, so I got a few more tips to share with you guys. One is you can grab these fidlock sliders if you don't like the G-hooks on the side. And the nice thing is that you can actually replace these without stitch picking or anything like that. You can find a video on it, but basically you can use the end of a flathead screwdriver and pop this little plastic part up. This bar slides out and you can slide it right in here. Highly recommend using some tweezers or hemostats because this little loop here is at an angle and it can be a little tricky to get it in there, but it does work great and I really like it. And then you just take the G-hook off and run it through here. In order to get better access inside the bag, I know some people have complained that it seems kind of hard to open and get into. What I've started doing is not zipping the bag up all the way and basically just doing it until the flap. And if you do that, you can sort of do this, grab it, and then you can kind of pull it open right away, and you almost end up getting quick access into the laptop compartment or your iPad or something. And this just makes it me a lot happier with the bag because I generally use bags that have a separate laptop compartment, but having the access like this makes it so it's really not an issue. So if that's something that you've been having a problem with, give that a try, see how you like it. One of the other things is when I'm using the tail, yes, I know this is part of a bag, but just this part sits underneath here. And I know a lot of people haven't really been sure what to do with this pocket, but what I found is when I'm traveling, if you know, I did a flight, sometimes I'll have my car keys with me because I park at the airport. I'll actually put my car keys or my other items that I need to have with me, but I don't need to access, and it's kind of a nice, almost like hidden away pocket. So I've been able to use it that way, and it works really nicely. If I have my beaver tail out, I will take the fidlock that's on the front and tuck it into this loop right here, and it sits really snugly and doesn't really go anywhere, so that's a nice way to stow it away. And then the other thing that's really nice, go ahead and grab yourself some big roll of 1-wrap Velcro, and you can use this on all your bags, super handy to have around. And I just cut a 3.5-inch little strip and use it for keeping all the webbing and everything tied up, so it just makes the bag a lot cleaner and helps out. And you can do this on all your bags, it's not specific to this one. So there you go, hopefully all these tips help you out.